Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Bill Williams on the Influencers Podcast, coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia this morning. And here we are with Marcellus Bowman from Eat, Sleep, Peak. He is the founder. I want to bring him out of the green room to meet you guys. This is Marcellus Bowman. Come in, Marcellus, and let us know all about Eat, Sleep, and Peak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate you inviting me on, and can't wait to talk everything Eat, Sleep, Peak related. That's my thing. That's my passion.
Welcome. Well, we don't know what it is yet, so give us a peek as to what you're talking about here.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, started an online personal training business and a supplement business where I train those looking for fat loss, muscle gain, performance enhancement. I'm also the head strength coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the CFL. So I kind of have my hand in a little bit of everything, anything performance and health and fitness related, but specific to Eat, Sleep, Peak, fat loss, muscle gain, and energy enhancements, things like that.
Excellent. And I couldn't let this time go by without saying War Eagle. You worked at my alma mater for a while, so
That's
I'm
correct.
proud to know you, Marcellus, and all the goods you did for our team back in the day when you were there. Thank you.
We had some good years. We were ranked number 2 in the nation while I was there the first year. Went to bowl games both years. So, had some good times there.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a fun memory to have.
Definitely.
Okay. Everybody doesn't start off a success like you are now. Mm-hmm. Tell us one of your greatest failure stories in life that led you to overcome challenge and get where you got today.
Well, so historically, I've been an athlete, right? Played at Boston College, signed with the Denver Broncos, played up in the CFL. So as an athlete, I've had a lot of success, right? Regular failures, no big deal, but a pretty smooth rise to the top, so to speak. But then my body started to fail, right? And it's one of those things where as my body failed, I fought harder to try to preserve my career, but it was too much damage. And I was too broken down to continue to play. And that transition out of being an athlete is really, really tough. And basically what I found out is that the issues that I had were not something that were, just destined to be. They were avoidable. There was an answer to my problems. The issue is I didn't find the answer in time, right? So essentially what I've done is since then, I've dedicated my life to trying to find the answers to everything health and fitness related. Like literally, I'm just a junkie for anything related to performance, fat loss, hormones, muscle enhancements, energy, sleep corrections, everything health and fitness related. I've just been a ravenous appetite, so to speak, for it. And that's kind of how I handled that failure. Because what happens is a lot of athletes, they don't know how to make that transition out of it. And they stay looking at the past of what could have been. And I just cut it off and look to the future and see what can I do to fix or prevent this from happening to anyone else.
That's the same story my dad had. You don't know this, but my dad was a 3-sport athlete back at Auburn University.
Oh,
and he was playing on the same team with Travis Tidwell, who was an All-American.
Yeah.
What happened to him, though, he went to the Army and got injured. And he had a tryout with the Detroit Lions as a punter. That was one of his talents. And he never made it into the NFL. Yeah. But he did go back and have a secondary career as a veterinarian.
Gotcha.
So, he learned from his failure, got to move on. What is it that most people do that you think that causes them to fail?
First thing would be, it really does depend on what they're trying to achieve. And the first thing is to understand what is necessary to be great at that thing. What are the vital few functions of that thing you're trying to do? So, for example, as a coach, if you want to be a great coach, a lot of people try to dive into the sets and the reps and the calories and the protein, so on and so forth. But if you can't communicate, it doesn't matter how good the actual program is, right? So, communication is a vital component to being a great coach. And when it comes to just, mistakes in general, sometimes people focus too much on the wrong thing, right? They almost hit the bullseye on the wrong target, right? So the first thing is to find out what is important in that thing. What do you need to do? And then the second thing is to master it, right? Mastery is the second, I would guess, component to being successful, or the reason why people fail, is the lack of the pursuit of mastery, if that makes sense. There's a lot of information out there. It's easy to get a general understanding of a lot of things. But in my opinion, it's better to know a lot about a few things than a little about a lot of things, if that makes sense, right? So mastery will be the second. And then this is something that I started to do probably about 5 or 7 years ago, and that's study the opposite. So what I mean by that is whatever you believe, look at the exact opposite and study the experts in that field. So for example, I ate a regular diet, meats, proteins, fats, carbs, so on and so forth. But then I started studying vegans and vegetarians and started listening to the experts in that field and tried to, understand that more. And then I went to the carnivore diet, which is just straight meat for the most part, and a little bit of, fruits and vegetables. And I just took all of these different perspectives and I tried to find what is the common denominator between all of them. And I think that gave me a really well-rounded approach to what I do.
3 excellent methods of overcoming failure. Thank you for sharing that. Tell me what motivates you internally to get up and do everything you do every day.
Family. Simple as that. Number one is my family. I have a wife and 3 kids. So that helps me get out of bed in time to handle business. But outside of that, as I hate to see people suffer. Like I mentioned before with my own story, if I would have met myself while I was still playing and I was able to get the answers that I needed in time to, continue on with my dream, right, as being a professional football player, I would have been eternally indebted to that person, right? Now, not that I want people to be indebted to me, but I just want to have that impact to where, okay, you're doing something that you love. Let me help you do that better and do that longer. So it's just a desire to make sure that people don't fail because of preventable reasons, right? That's essentially the reason.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that would get a lot of people up and raring to go. There's a motto that everybody has for their company, and your company name is almost like a motto: eat, sleep, peak.
Correct.
Anything more you add to that?
No, it's really that. I'm a do less better type of guy, right? I don't want to get too overly complicated. I try to keep things simple. And the reason why I named the company that is because I found that as an athlete for myself, training other athletes, being around very successful people, and even the clients that I've worked with, the ones who've had transformative results, not just good results, but transformative results and sustainable results, are the ones that check these 3 basic boxes: what they ate, the quality of their sleep, and training very specific to their goals. So no motto under that, just basically eat, sleep, peak, and master those 3 things.
Do less with more. What is
Do
that?
less better. Do less better.
Do less better. I like that.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes right there.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about 3 success secrets that others can model from you.
Number 1, I would say, is waking up early. So I wake up at 4 a.m. every day. That is one component to my secret sauce. The reason why I do that is because I wake up and try to get as much done before the world asks me any questions. No one is up that early, right? No one's going to text me or email me at 4 a.m. So I can wake up and get the first 2 to 3 hours to do the most mentally intensive things I have to do. So that would be number 1. Number 2 is honestly the pursuit of mastery. I know I mentioned it already, but really trying to master the thing you're doing. And I think that pursuit, when you use the word mastery, I think it sets the proper perspective to where, mastery is not going to happen in 2 weeks, right? It's going to be a long time, but it also takes a lot of energy and focus and failure, and persistence. So the pursuit of mastery will be number 2. And then finally would be focus. And this is something that I think is, I forgot who said, but they said focus is the new IQ. Because of the level of distractions that we have and the notifications on our phones and the amount of people and companies and things that are begging for our attention, the inability to focus is one of the main reasons I think a lot of people fail. So for me, focus is a really big deal, which is also why I wake up in the morning so I can focus and no one's asking me anything. So that would be my top 3.
I like the 3 success secrets. In my mind, mastery is really a key for long-term success. And
Exactly.
my
Yeah.
personal example that I share with people all the time is I have a 10-year attention span, so I can focus pretty good for 10 years on one thing. And
Not bad.
so
Wow.
being 70, I've had, you know, 7 decades to
Yeah.
try to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
That's
And,
awesome. I
you
love
know,
that.
you go through and you become this, you become that, and
Mhm.
life never ceases to be an interesting challenge when you can actually focus hard for a long time on one thing,
Most
and
definitely.
you can become a master of many things over time.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely a superpower to be able to focus, especially today.
Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Peak is a company. It's what you do, what you
Mhm.
bring to people. Why should somebody buy from you?
Well, because although I do have templates as far as just some basic programs, my custom programming is, I like to think, very unique, where most people have a philosophy when it comes to the type of diet that they put their clients on, right? High carb, low carb, high protein, whatever the case may be. Or they have a certain affinity for a certain type of training, high intensity training, cardio plus weight training, whatever the case may be. And for me, I look at it as, what do you need, right? It's almost the what I call is the logical versus the biological approach. The logical approach is sets, reps, calories, so on and so forth. The biological approach says, okay, sets, reps, and calories, but are you tired, right? What do you have a weakness for? Is it sweets, right? When do you have time to work out? In the afternoon? Okay, in the afternoon you can't do this type of training because you won't be tired. You'll be too tired to do that, right? So when it comes to custom training, it's really custom. I really take that very specific to that person. And the program that I give to you, no one else will have that because it's very specific to your needs, your life, your family, your budget, so on and so forth. So I take custom to I guess you can say another level, so to speak.
And you're dealing with professionals, athletes who want to be in peak performance, so that makes a lot of sense. Tailor it to the individual.
Mhm.
Who's your ideal client beyond the professional athlete?
You know what? Most of my clients are not professional athletes. So my as a strength coach, of course, I train 100 professional athletes for the team. Um, but outside of that, the majority of my ECP clients are just regular people, quote unquote regular, right? Their mothers, their fathers. There's their young women coming out of college. There are a lot of different types of clients I've trained. Physique competitors, get on stage in bikini, winning competitions. So I know from a business perspective, you should have an ideal client, but I kind of check all the boxes when it comes to the type of client that I enjoy working with. Training for 10 years, I've trained a lot of types of people, women who just, beat ovarian cancer or dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or those who are dealing with, severe obesity, right? So I have some experience with a lot of different types of clients. And as a result, if I feel I can help you, I will take you on. Now, if I feel like I can't, I won't. So I won't be arrogant enough to think that I can help everyone, but I have a lot of experience. So, I love the challenge of helping a new type of person.
So you could take a biggest loser type of individual and make them a winner.
That's the goal. 100%. 100%. Just follow the plan.
How do you find these kind of folks that want to be committed to your plan? That's pretty much it. It's got to be a mental desire to be what you want to give as your result.
Say it again. What's the question?
Now, how do you find that ideal client? The one who has the mental desire
Yeah.
to take on you as their coach.
So typically people find me through social media, but as far as them actually signing up to be my client is during the consult, right? So they typically, what happens is I'll send them a link. They fill out the questionnaire. I get some preliminary information on them. And then we have about a 25-minute conversation where we go over their answers and we bring them to life. We add context to them, right? I try to get them to know them as much as I can in a 25-minute period. And if everything sounds good and it feels like that we can work, then we will. If it's one of those things, like for example, one of my now current clients, the first time she reached out, I actually said, I didn't tell her she wouldn't be successful with my program, but not at this moment. she was spinning too many plates. She was doing too much at the time. And to get a measurable result, there's a certain amount of things you have to be able. You have to make logistical space in your schedule to onboard a training program, to onboard, the discipline of diet, right? So it's one of those things. I don't want to set someone up for failure for $1. If we have to pause it for 2 months, then I'm willing to risk that to put her or the client in a better position to succeed.
And what kind of well-defined product or service is it that you're going to offer these in a consult?
So typically it's either fat loss or muscle gain. Most of the time it's fat loss. And then for those who may struggle with energy, I do have a supplement line that will help with that. That will help, give them the energy they need to make it through a workout and get to their results.
Do you require people in your program to stop doing everything else they're doing and they add on what you're doing so that you know how to control the intake?
Not the essentials. So the thing about working with clients is that you can't try to create a bunch of voids and expect success. So if they have a certain type of eating that they do, right? They eat a certain type of way. For me, just to remove everything that they enjoy and then put the ideal food in front of them, they're not going to be successful, right? It's all about tweaking and adjusting. So it's one of those things where I work with them in a way to where we try to do one thing at a time. So for example, if the thing they struggle with the most is sleep, right? We focus on that for the first month. Now I do adjust the diet and certain things like that to ensure that we get a result, because results are the most motivating thing possible. But, there's always an emphasis where I emphasize a certain thing. And then once we've mastered that, then we go to the next thing. But I don't try to do too much too soon, because that's just too much, especially for a busy person.
Yeah, I like the way you define it, not just diet, but sleep patterns and the desired outcome, whether it's fat loss or muscle building.
Exactly.
One of the things that I've done in terms of sleep is I've been the NFL deliverer of sleep appliances for sleep apnea in our Atlanta area.
Yeah.
And so NFL players would come in for sleep evaluations, and we'd get them hooked up with a pulmonologist. We would make the dental devices for sleep apnea. Do you get involved with that level of recommendation yourself?
No, I try to keep it basic. So for example, when we're talking about the sleep, for example, one of the first questions I ask is, what time do you go to sleep? Because for example, any hour of sleep you get prior to 1 a.m. or 2 p.m. or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. is 2 times more valuable. It regenerates and restores you 2 times more than if you were to get sleep after that. So for example, if you sleep from 10 to 6, that's more valuable of an 8-hour rest than from 1 to 9. Both are still 8 hours, but this one is way more valuable than the other one, right? Another one is, for example, a sleep supplement like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6, right? 3 very basic vitamins and minerals that can significantly improve the quality of their sleep. So I try to make it very easy for them to get the first win, right, when it comes to improving their sleep. And typically, once we do something basic like that, or whether it's getting them, blackout curtains or making sure they don't touch their bed until they're going to sleep, right? Our brain works by association. So if you eat, work, and watch TV in your bed, your brain's going to associate everything but sleep with your bed. So little suggestions like that, I try to make for them. So it's easy, it's cheap, and it's a sustainable thing you can do, to where you'll get a lot of benefit and return on that investment.
Yeah, I kind of know that brains tend to understand what happens when you get into a certain place, and that lazy boy chair thinks it's a bed.
Yeah. 100, especially between the hours of 5 to 7 p.m. For me, that's when, it kind of shuts me down.
You got it. Tell me about any online platforms that you use in your business. Is there anything you specifically rely on to attract clients?
Instagram is one. Maybe that's a generational thing, but Instagram is one. Facebook, not so much. And I'm actually becoming more active on LinkedIn. So those are basically my 3 outlets. I dabble a bit in Twitter, but I'm pretty inconsistent with that. But Instagram is probably the easiest way to find me, and where I put the majority of my content on.
Okay, very good to hear. What's your 5-star client experience like?
5-star client experience, as far as a result that a client got, or as far as how do I provide a 5-star client experience?
How do you provide?
Accountability, right? Accountability for when it comes to fat loss, for example, mathematically is very easy. Eat less, move more, right? Like mathematically is really, really simple. That's the logical approach again, right? But biologically, when you add emotions, you add schedule, you add stress, you add all these, you add family, professional lives. That's where everything gets somewhat complicated. So we have 2 weigh-in, for example, throughout the week, Wednesday and Friday. But outside of that, regular check-ins, right? How are you doing? What's going on? What did work this week? What are you struggling with more? Is it diet or is it training? Okay. And then based on these answers, I suggest one thing that they do for the following week. Tweak this one thing. Let's focus on this, and we'll be able to get the result that we want. So for me, once again, when it comes to custom training and really training that specific person, right? That's where the 5-star top-notch experience and that's why I think I get so many referrals as far as people passing on my information to their friends and their family, which has actually saved me because I'm somewhat inconsistent when it comes to marketing online. So the word of mouth is pretty strong for me, and I think it's because of my quality of my service.
I think that ties right into the fact that you're so successful despite not putting a lot of effort into marketing, is that you create the brand ambassador and they do the work for you. Is that right?
Exactly. They're walking billboards, right? Whether it's by the result or just by the experience that they've had with me, they've passed on my name to a lot of people. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I can see in our brief interview that you connect with people very well, and that people probably do what you ask because you're open and honest, and the accountability factor is you're their champion. And when that works, then the whole system's going to work.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's good. Tell us what you're grateful for today, Marcellus.
Today, I am grateful for another opportunity to get better, another opportunity to move forward. I have 1,000 different things that I want to accomplish, and I'm just thankful that I'm in position to start to move towards at least one of them. 36 years old, having the success I've had and having the failures I've had, puts it in proper perspective, especially as a father and a husband.
Say you have a client and you feel like they're not achieving their goal. How does that make you feel?
Horrible. And that's something that when it comes to, for example, what gets me up in the morning, as far as what you asked earlier, I used to take it really hard when a client wouldn't get the result that I thought they should get with my program. Because when you're dealing with someone who is reaching out for help, a lot of times there's a lot of heartbreak in that outreach, right? They're reaching out because they've tried and they failed, and it damaged their confidence, so on and so forth. And I don't want to be another failure point for them. So it used to tear me to pieces. Now, having so much experience with it, I know how to emotionally handle that. And that's why I have so many different tools in the tool belt to help fix and correct and so on and so forth. Because it can get pretty emotional when someone's not getting the result that they want.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a plan to achieve your goal. When things are not going the way the client had hoped, you have a way to shift and focus the client back in a place that's going to get them back on track. Is that right?
100%. Because once again, mathematically, their goal is pretty easy. Add more weight, add less weight, add more calories, add less calories, tweak this, tweak that. So there's a lot of options. It's really just having the discernment and the experience to know which one is best for them, right? And of course, there's more complicated ones where you're dealing with someone with hypothyroidism or something like that. But for the most part, it's really just habit-based, and, adjusting small things to fit within their lifestyle that will allow them to be successful.
So if you have a challenge that life throws at you, what do you do to overcome?
Study it. I study it. The answer's somewhere. And the beautiful thing about it now is that whatever I go through, I'm very confident someone else has already. And all I have to do is use their life experience to shorten my experience, right? So as opposed to me fighting through it for a month or a year, I find, as much information out about that particular subject, and then I try to put it into practice and see if it works for me. If it doesn't, then I'll just go on to the next answer, plan B, plan C, plan D. But I try to study that thing so I can learn it, understand it, teach it also, but also move forward.
I like it. And, you're an entrepreneur. You have a job with the Hamilton team, but you have an entrepreneurial spirit. You're coaching and you're doing things online. Yes. You developed a program. So here's a question a lot of people want to know.
Yeah.
If you have a revenue generating idea, something that's an entrepreneurial spirit thing, how do you
Yeah.
convince your significant other to let you get on track to do something that's not a salaried position at a
Yeah.
job?
You know what's funny is I don't have to convince my wife at all. Because she has, I think, a larger entrepreneur spirit than I do. And she's a much better business person than I am. She's a solutions architect for a tech company. So honestly, I almost use her as a consult. So I'm sorry, but I can't even answer that question because she actually helps me from a business perspective. When it comes to the science, that's my pocket. That's what I do well, you know. But when it comes to business, I actually kind of lean on her to help me with that. So I come up with an idea, and then she'll turn it into a business idea, and then we'll kind of work together to get it done.
So the short answer is marry well.
1,000%. 1,000%. Check the right box on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about paid digital media, that's something I'm interested in. I like to find out more about what people actually do because that's one of the businesses that I'm in.
Mhm.
What role has that played in your company's growth at this point?
So when it comes to, for example, ads, I've only dabbled in ads. I haven't done too much there. Um, so I'm still learning on that side. My website, of course, I pay for that. I run that. I built that and everything like that. But I haven't dabbled too much in paid digital media. That's actually something I would like to learn more about. So maybe it's one of those things where you can teach me about that because that's something that's new to me. I just had a conversation with someone not too long ago about the AI side of things, using artificial intelligence to help, with the business. So, there's a lot of things that I'm aware of right now, but I haven't had the chance to dive into that I do want to learn about.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to know out there about
Mhm.
paid digital media and where the deals are and what
Yeah.
the costs are. And one of the facts that I'll share with you is it used to be cheap and easy on many platforms to get a lot of business.
Yeah.
And then as time changes, people realize how valuable it is. And so they start charging more and more.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I heard. Yeah.
you have to go find places that are less expensive. And so we're able to give people 90 to maybe 50% off of what they normally spend on digital media with
Wow.
our techniques versus what they thought was available if they just go look on LinkedIn, Twitter, uh, Facebook,
Hmm.
Google for the
Yeah.
ads. So there's a way. You have to know the inside story,
Yeah.
and targeted traffic is going to be really big with AI. So you're going to
Mhm.
find that AI is going to revolutionize the marketing business. So keep your eyes open, and we'll be glad to share with you what we know that'll help you.
Beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
What advice would you give a 20-year-old Marcellus if you had to look back at your life and go, okay, young man, here's what we do next?
Work smarter. Work smarter, man. I I had a very high pain tolerance. If it was difficult and it was painful, I believe I can endure longer than the next man. That probably worked a long time ago, but in today's world, you have to work way smarter than that. So that's what would be the first thing. My work ethic will never change, but it's just the way that I use my time and energy and attention. I would definitely redirect young Marcellus to do it in a smarter way.
Gotcha. Do you have a living mentor that has an impact on you right now?
Honestly, no, I don't. I'm an introvert, so I'm very hesitant to reach out. But I watch, and I watch intently, and I absorb from everyone. I believe that the 18-year-old athlete, I've learned a lot from them, and I've learned a lot from the 65-year-old coach that I'm coaching along with the Ticats. So, I absorb as much as I can from those around me, and I'm also really big in personal development. Whether it's a book, seminar, whether it's a podcast, I'm constantly consuming information and then I have like a little knowledge bank in my Google Drive that I just kind of organize things that way. So I kind of do it that way to kind of allow me to maintain my introvertedness and still get some information. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Okay, cool. I got nervous for a second.
Did you ever meet and work with Bill Kazmaier at Auburn?
I did not. I did not.
You know who he is?
I'm not familiar, actually.
World's Strongest Man competition.
Oh,
And
really?
he ended up setting up a gym in Auburn and working with clients in my old hometown where I used to go to school. So
What year was this?
this was back in the 80s,
Okay,
90s.
gotcha. Yeah, it's
I
before
don't
I
know if
was.
he made it into this decade or not, but
Yeah.
he was doing what you do back in
Mm.
that day. And interestingly enough, I made a mouthpiece for him for strength so
Oh,
that I
okay.
could maximize his physiology of his
Yeah.
bite, transmits that to the rest of the body for kinesiological reasons.
Yeah.
And he set the world's record that next month.
Wow.
So
Not
we
bad.
take a lot of uh, credit for 1% of his success.
As you should. Every 1% matters at that point. Once you get to the elite level, getting 1% is a really big jump. So yeah, that's definitely a big impact. That's awesome.
Yeah. Tell us why being impactful is important to you now, Marcellus.
That's the reason why we're here. I feel like every person, when you're really working and doing what you're designed to do, like what you have an affinity for, inherently is going to benefit someone else. So I feel that in health and fitness and coaching, that's what I'm here for. That's what I do well. That's when I feel like the most me and the best version of myself. And having that purposeful pursuit and feeling is an amazing feeling. What's funny is football was amazing and I loved it. Every moment of it. I wish it went longer, but the sense of purpose that I have now doing what I do is way beyond what I had when I was playing. So it's yeah, finding that what makes you you, and then doing that as well as you can.
Yeah. I can see why people would like to work with you, why you would be a big impact in their lives. So
Mhm.
I think you really did find your calling. That's wonderful. Tell us why you want to be remembered.
Being a great father, being a great husband, first and foremost, and then also being a great coach. I know that's a wide and broad statement, but being a great coach to anyone who has entrusted me to their goals. Simple as that.
How can we support you? Meaning, how can we get in touch? What links, what URLs, what media would you like us to go to find you?
Yes, so on LinkedIn, you can type in my name, Marcellus Bowman, and you'll find me there. If you're interested, you can reach out and ask me questions. I'm always happy to talk training, nutrition, whatever. And then as far as for the majority of my content can be found on Instagram, Coach Boom, I is my handle. The Coach Boom comes from a nickname back from when I was playing. And then now I'm a coach now. So the Boom thing kind of stuck with me. But Coach Boom, I on Instagram, you'll find most of my content there.
Hey, good. What was your position in football?
College, I was a safety. And then when I got to the CFL, I was a linebacker.
Ooh, safety and linebacker. So you did lay the boom on people.
That's exactly where I got the nickname from. That's exactly it. That was an
Yeah.
old school style of football before everything changed.
Yeah. Well, I like it. So what would you have to say about your guest experience on our show today?
This was awesome. I really am appreciative that you had me on here and that we were able to find a time and link up and talk. This is great.
Yeah, great. It's been good having you. And all of our audience really should be interested in their fitness, their sleep,
Yes.
their eating habits. This is an all-inclusive program. It sounds to me well put together,
Exactly.
and I appreciate you sharing with us all about it. I'm going to give you the final word before we close out our show today.
Pursue your dreams and do less better. Simple as that. And once again, I don't get too complicated. Pursue your dreams, and in doing that, do less better.
All right. Thank you, Marcellus. It's excellent to have you on the Influencers Podcast today, and I look forward to talking with you more in the future. So continued best luck. Thank you, sir.
You too. See you.
Okay, everyone. We have had an excellent day today. We got Marcellus Bowman on, and he gave us great information about fitness, sleep, diet, things that everybody needs to take advantage of. And speaking of taking advantage of, I want everyone who's listening, who's interested in the better future for themselves, to go to otrim.co/golden and become one of our partners. If you want to become a partner, you can do it for free. and I'll share more about what partnership means. But everyone who's not part of the Influencers podcast who wants to be setting their future in a golden ticket, this is it. So that's my commercial for you today, and good luck. Have a great week. This is Dr. Bill Williams on the Influencers podcast from Atlanta, Georgia, signing off.